Which takes me to Kevin D. Williamson in National Review. Headline, Obamacare is dead. Regardless whether there is a President Cruz or a President Rubio or President whoever in 2017, regardless of the existence or size of a Republican majority in Congress, the so-called Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act has failed. The grand vision of an efficient pseudo-market in health insurance under enlightened federal management, the heart of Obamacare, is not coming to pass. Obamacare, meaning the operating model that undergirded the law that Congress passed and Obama signed with great fanfare, is dead and it will not be revived. What remains is fitful chaos. Let me give you the pull quote from this opinion piece, but I'm going to give you the pull quote. Kevin Williamson, National Review. The fact is that Obamacare has fallen apart without the Republicans dismantling it. Now, folks, don't worry here. I understand. There is a contingent on the Republican side that does not want to repeal Obamacare. I understand. And there's a large contingent Republican Party that doesn't want to do the heavy lifting to get rid of it. And they would much rather say it's going to fail on its own, just let it. They've already said so. I realize. I just want to throw this out to you for your own consumption, see what you think about it. The fact is, Obamacare has fallen apart without Republicans dismantling it. Almost all of its basic promises have failed. It's an economic shambles, and it's a political mess. Unsurprisingly, people still don't like it. Less than a third of Americans support the individual mandate. 3/4 oppose Obamacare's tax on high-end health care programs, and more voters oppose the law categorically than support it. 25% say the law has hurt them personally. The question isn't why Republicans haven't gotten around to repealing and replacing it. The answer to that question resides at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue for a while still. The question is, when will Democrats get around to admitting that they and they alone have created a mess that has introduced nothing to American health care except chaos? They're never going to admit it, but he's right. There aren't any Republican fingerprints on it. But I don't want to. The danger in this piece is that we don't have to do anything. Obamacare is crumbling. It's falling apart on its own. And we don't have to do anything. We have to wait. No. It's an entitlement. It isn't just going to go away on its own. And if it's left alone, we're going to end with chaos. It has to be actively taken apart and something done to replace it. But I don't disagree with the premise that it's imploding. But that never stopped liberalism. They're not going to admit any of this. And the idea that the Democrats might someday admit that they and they alone created chaos, what are the odds we're ever going to see that day? The Democrats are never going to admit it isn't working. It's going to be just like every other federal program that's a botched mistake. They're going to say, we're the only ones that can fix it. They're going to act like forces outside that they hadn't counted on screwed it up. They're never going to admit that it's their mistake. And they certainly aren't going to lay it off on Obama. That's just not the way they do. They never admit they messed things up. It's always the Republicans that do. And the way this is going to happen more than likely, well, Obamacare would be a much better place if these Republicans weren't trying to stop it every day. If the Republicans weren't trying to deny the poor health insurance, if the Republicans weren't standing in the way of the uninsured getting health insurance, we'd be doing very well here. You know, they're going to try to lay this off on Republicans. They always do. And that's what the Republicans sit around and just wait and hope and pray this thing implodes to where it's obvious there isn't even a health care system in place. That day's never going to happen. We already have federal entitlements operating that way. We have many government programs that are nothing but chaos, and nobody ever admits there's anything wrong with them. Except when they do, they say, well, we're the ones to fix it because we didn't break it. Outside forces did.